Welcome back. And this week we're off to Mortuary Chapel and Hospitalfield. It's really kind of important buildings in Arbroath here, and we went and visited the Hospitalfield today. Because I filmed Mortuary Chapel last year, but I didn't put it in video because the history of between the two tied together. But found it really fascinating. I hope you enjoy it. I'm just amazed of the history that's in this town. But anyways, I will let you make the judge of that, and I hope you enjoy it. And without further ado, please enjoy. So, today's outing, we've come up to Mortuary Chapel. We'll get some history on that. Yeah, this is another thing that's right down on our doorstep. Peter's gone to the chapel. I had to get my jacket because she says it's cold inside. But yeah, it's a really impressive chapel. But yeah. So we'll find out more, and we also have a tour guide. So anyways, but yeah, it's really very impressive. But yeah, another sightseeing thing here in Arbroath. I'm gonna let you go. Bye. So far for just a day out. Well, not really a day out, just kind of we were bored. We found this place. It's kind of a free Angus open house that they do here in Angus. So yeah, it's free, and they do a special tour and stuff. Yeah, so kind of excited to find out about this place. But yeah, anyways, we're going to find out more, and I will fill you in. Okay, bye. So we've come in the chapel. Normally you don't get to come in here. They let us in a little bit early. Oh yeah. Got the kind of duck and an owl. Yeah, Peter pointed out the birds that are up there. But yeah. Eclectic, just different areas into the chapel. Anyways. I'm gonna sign off now, but yeah, pretty impressive. Just come up the stairs. This is what I filmed from below, but now we're up here. There's those birds again. Yeah, there you go. The Memorial Chapel was designed by Patrick Allan Fraser as a memorial to his late wife, Elizabeth, and her deceased parents, John Fraser and Elizabeth Parrot Fraser. Work began in 1875 based on an outline plan of Allan Fraser, to which he added details as the building progressed. Everyone who visited quickly realized this is a remarkable building, possibly the most unusual and most instantly appealing of the many fine buildings within Arbroath. However, it's also very important on a national scale. It could claim to be one of the best buildings up to this date in Scotland. The building is also notable for its eclectic mix of styles, including references to Scottish, English, and possible from Eastern Europe Gothic. Every part of the building is important because every part received great care and design. The Memorial Chapel is located in the Western Cemetery, 25 minutes walk from Hospitalfield. I did forget to mention that this was built by local craftspeople here in Arbroath using sandstone from a nearby quarry. The chapel also presented a special opportunity for them and their teams of apprentices working under them to show off their skills. The use of local red sandstone from local quarries that depicted of local flora and fauna were all central to the values of the arts and crafts movement. The chapel features breathtaking architectural carvings which have seen and described as one of the most splendid monuments in Britain, and likened to miniature versions of the 15th century Rosslyn Chapel in Midlothian. I'm just so amazed. There's so much to see in Arbroath, and you know what? It's right on my doorstep, and I find myself so lucky. So now we're off to Hospitalfield. Please excuse us because this is the first time we used our drone. Yeah, we got a drone finally. So this is our attempt to try to capture Arbroath Hospitalfield. But we did our best, and I hope you enjoyed it. We are going to get better, I promise you. But yeah, now we're entering Hospitalfield, and I hope you enjoy this. Bye. Brief history of Hospitalfield. A hospital was built on the site in 1260 to support the new Benedict Abbey in Arbroath. In 1664, after the Reformation, the Reverend James Fraser bought the estate, and in 1843 the artist Patrick Allan met and married Elizabeth Fraser. In 1902, following the terms of the bequest, Hospitalfield became an art school, later developed into a postgraduate residential college, which it is today. Okay, just to dig a little bit deeper into this, in 1260, the Terenzine Benedict order of monks built a hospital, later converted it into a monastery, with a vantage point over the North Sea to provide for the many pilgrims traveling across sea and land to their new abbey in Arbroath. So basically what the person that was doing the tour explained it as like almost an immigration center. You know, people would be quarantined before they could go into the city. So for you North Americans, it's kind of like the Ellis Isles of Scotland. And Elizabeth Fraser in 1843, they remodeled the house, creating a significant early arts and craft building, including a picture gallery, one of Scotland's most important Victorian rooms. The Allan Frasers left their estate and collection to the trust to support artists and education to the arts. And to this day, they still support young, talented artists that live on the site. Let me get over here. I think there's this type of fountain because they've got kind of a gutter system there. I'm probably absolutely just wrong. Completely wrong. But yeah. So if you look over there, we've got, let me try to get closer. There's a statue here that's fallen. But we got some fields over here. And there's the ocean.
So John the Baptist was the patron saint of the Benedictine monks who lived here. So that's why he's there. And you see the leading monk here, he's another eminence lovely. And then there's the ferns on the top. So the sculpture kind of reflects the outside, but this was done much later. This was done about 1870.
Can I take one?
Sure, yeah. Not a problem. So we talked about parrots and pears, and you can see them here on this pedestal, which was originally made for a gas lamp. So they had a gasometer out near where the car park is. The tortoises we're not sure about. You can see it's a bit full of Pullman all this stuff over here, but the tortoises are a bit of a mystery. One theory is that the ferns that came over from New Zealand for the fernery were brought by a man called Captain Logan. And he sailed from Arbroath taking emigrants out to New Zealand, and then he would bring ferns back. Hence the carvings of the ferns in the house as well. So this room was refurbished by Patrick and Elizabeth. The leather on the walls is Dutch, and it was old when they installed it. So, you know, it was probably, I don't know, 100 years old or whatever when they put it up. And the wood is cedar around most of the house. The fireplace, we kind of joke that they got it from a catalogue, but they did really. It was listed in the catalogue from the 1851 Great Exhibition in London, so people could order things that had been exhibited at the Great Exhibition. The man on the left is a man, I'm not expecting you to remember all these names, don't worry, but John Phillip, and on the right is a man, Robert Scott Lauder, who both of these were friends of Patrick's. And again, as we go around the house, you'll see lots of paintings carved by our friend James Christie, who did the John the Baptist outside. And you can see in the corner there, we've got Patrick's original stick that features in the painting. And we also still have Betsy's first stone, which is in a chest in one of the other rooms. It's a little bit moth-eaten now, but it's quite nice to be able to tie things, the objects, back to the picture. So the main focus in this room obviously is the ceiling, and this again was done by a sculptor, an artist who was sponsored by Patrick and Elizabeth. He was a man called David Maver, and he was actually the nephew of Patrick's coachman. So you can see the side of the fireplace, and you can see the big dresser at the back of her, and the leather on the walls. So we know where she was sitting with her enormous cat on her lap. So we've got a huge dog next door and a huge cat. So they went in for pictures. This is all in the process of being rehubbed. We had to empty the whole house back in October time when the film crew came to film. There are bedrooms up the top there, and the library is up the stairs there, and then there's a corridor with bedrooms where the residents are. So a lot of them are still in the house. It's all a bit basic. The plumbing's not great and the heating's not great. Okay, we call this room the ante room, and this is, you know, Patrick would kind of entertain his guests here before he took them into the gallery to show them his art collection. And he died in London, but he was pretty successful in his time. And again,
the gentleman that she's talking about is called Thomas Crawford. Now, he is the gentleman who designed the statue that sits on top of the U.S. Capitol building in Washington, D.C., known as the Statue of Freedom. I found it fascinating because he has ties to this house in Scotland.
Designed all this himself. He didn't employ an architect. He did all the design work. So obviously you can see all the kind of... Once I start talking, I can't stop. Jordan will tell you that, Francis, does he?
Yeah. Wow.
So this is, if anybody needs a seat, you can feel free, you can sit on this blue one. We have to put bits of holly on some of the other furniture because it's a bit fragile, but that one's quite, you can sit down on there. So this is the cedar room. Again, the panelling is cedar. This was the last room that Patrick built, and he actually died before it was finished. So even very late in life, he was still kind of working on the house and extending it.
Okay, we just came out of the tour. I'm just going over here, Peter. absolutely fascinating, wasn't it, Peter? Yeah, so basically 12th century. There's always been a house on here since the 12th century, yeah. So, anyways, I got a lot of homework to do. Yeah. So, got Peter next to me here. What do you think?
It's a very impressive house. I'm glad we went into it.
Yeah. Yeah, I got a lot of homework to do. But yeah, it's fascinating, and I have to say, I find Scots have such more proud in their history and
They are
everything.
very proud. She was very knowledgeable. I mean, the tour cost us £10 each to get in, but it was well worth it.
It really is.
It was just over an hour,
And
an hour and 20 minutes.
I'm really kind of shocked that Arbroath is not more on the map with all the history and stuff that comes from this place, you know, where we live. I mean, you know, you dig deeper into things, and you're just finding more and more about how significant that Arbroath was for Scotland, you know, and they don't make a big deal. I mean, they're not making anything of it, so I wish they would. Anyways, I'll leave it like that. I'll see you later. Bye. Well, I really hope you enjoyed that. I just find living where I live, the history that goes on in this town, and it's such an important town in Scotland, and I don't understand why a lot of the focus is not equally, you know, every town in Scotland's important, but Arbroath has so much history and stuff, you know, with the whole independence and of Scotland and everything here. And just the rich history that is here, and it seems like everywhere you go, everything comes back to Arbroath. But I find it amazing. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed that. Anyway, next week, it's going to be our year anniversary since I retired and we moved to Arbroath. And earlier I had a video out back in last year when we first moved in about the house. So I'm going to give you an update next week, or not next week. Yeah, next week. I'm going to give you an update on our house and all the changes that we've made to the house in a year. Yeah, it's been a year. It's gone by so quickly. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed this one. So if you like, give me a thumbs up, a like, and a comment would be great. Love to hear from you guys. Anyways, you guys take care, and we will see you next week when I show you off our house. Okay, bye. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe to our channel so that we can bring you more content in the future. It also helps us to make the channel grow. And once again, thank you so much for watching.